and welcome to the SBN Newscast with your hosts, Scott and Kendra. A highlight of this week, which I must share with y'all, was that yesterday we hosted a call bringing together some of our global advisors and ambassadors to discuss the last year and share our future ambitions and key goal setting. It was such a warming session, working round, hearing the stories of those who had joined us, their interaction with members and fellow supporters, and recognising what as a team together we have achieved over the last year. One thing that we tallied up and applauded was that together since April 2020 to April 2021, we have delivered 166 online events with 22,500 registrations. We're extremely proud and passionate about providing these opportunities for Scottish businesses and our Scottish diaspora to come together, share key insights, and spark and facilitate these meaningful connections. After the session, I was eating my lunch and I was scrolling through our members platform and our LinkedIn, and I was seeing these members in action, collaborating, hosting interviews with one another, forming key partnerships, and engaging with one another's posts in support of each other. We're always inspired by these stories that come out of SBN, and we know you all are too. So we will be capturing more of these stories to share with you all soon.
Here is some of what's been happening over the past 2 weeks. President of SBN US and Washington Ambassador Ian Houston wrote a piece in Daily Business last week where he looked at how rebuilding the economy needs to start from the ground up. But that wasn't all Ian got up to last week, because he was also interviewed on BBC Radio Scotland discussing diplomacy and how that impacts local communities. Tom Thomas continued his fascinating weekly write-ups from India, where he shares some of the most recent news in the startup community, government, innovation, clean tech, and so much more. You can see a new edition of India Weekly every Friday on the SBN website or in the SBN newsletter. Emma Little has launched her second venture, Exec Move, a hospitality-focused recruiter working in the venue, events, hospitality and tourism sector, so you should definitely check that out. Essence of Harris showcased their stunning new dispensers in their Glasgow store, designed by the incredibly talented glassmakers at Angel Share Glass. If you've not seen a picture of them, you really should. They're stunning. Massive congratulations as well to Stephen Lynch and the team at Cleanology, as they were awarded the 2021 Living Wage Champion Award. Our busy days of conferences last week went off to great success as we welcomed speakers from all over the world to talk about things like diaspora, virtual networking, growing global networks, and much more. You can relive the talks from the Diaspora Conference by checking out the replays on the conference website. There's also a lot more to come from Kissing with Confidence after last Tuesday, as they announced their new Rain Truffle platform. More details about that can be found in the description below this video. And if you liked what you saw last week, there's plenty more where that came from. In some more recent event news, the STV Growth Academy continued as they looked at how to build an effective PR strategy. These high-value events are going to continue once a month, so keep an eye out on the SBN website for updates on that, or just search STV Growth Academy. In a very exciting session, Carbon Financial continued their conversations with leading Scottish figures this week as they spoke to tennis star Jamie Murray. I'm very jealous I missed that one. And Andrew Morrison kept himself busier than usual with 2 LinkedIn Live interviews. On Wednesday, he sat down with Joy Lewis of AAI Employability for a fascinating conversation about how recruitment has changed in the last 10 years and how it's going to continue to change in the next 10. Then first thing this morning, he sat down with SBN podcast host and ambassador Fraser Allen as he swapped from interviewer to interviewee in a fascinating conversation about building brands through storytelling. You can catch both of these recorded interviews and check out the ones coming up just by connecting with Andrew on LinkedIn. There are still plenty more events to come, including some from PB Link, the University of Stirling, the University of Highlands and Islands, Scottish Business Network, and a lot more. So be sure to check out the events page on the SBN website to see what's coming up. But there's an even easier way to keep up to date with all the news happening across Scotland, and we're going to listen to our first guest to tell us more about that.
Today, we're delighted to welcome Terry Murden, Director and Editor at Daily Business Group.
Good morning.
It's great to have you with us, Terry, especially on this special day. I believe a happy birthday is in order.
Correct.
Well, happy birthday and thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. Do you want to kick off by telling us a little bit about yourself and tell us about the Daily Business Group?
Sure, yeah. I'll keep it very short. I've been a journalist now for over 40 years, and after about 30 or 35 years working for the Sunday Times, Scotsman, Scotland on Sunday, and sundry other papers, I set up the Daily Business Group in 2014. Group by group, what it means is there's various elements to this. There's the Daily Business News website, and there's something called DB Media Services, which is more of a sort of strategy organization, and also embraces things like photography services, PR, all sorts of other sort of communication stuff. And it's a bit of the business that sort of, if you like, kind of makes the money, if you like. And I've tried to keep these two things separately because DB Media Services also does some third-party work for companies, corporate work, that sort of thing. But the Daily Business website is the main thing that I do, and it does really what it says on the tin. It's a breaking news service based around business, but broadening out into things like politics, a bit of sport, finance, the arts. And the idea of it was to create a sort of, without sounding too grandiose, a bit of a sort of mini FT, similar sort of agenda. I mean, obviously that's a worldwide thing, but a similar sort of agenda where it's for business people, but about things that the business people are interested in, and which may be beyond sort of finance and balance sheets and corporate deals. So we'll look at the political environment, particularly around the economy, and we'll embrace various business lifestyle issues, such as, a bit of sport, restaurants, theatre, and that sort of thing. So it's a kind of trying to do it in the round, but the core element of the thing is to deal with the day's breaking news service, and that's what keeps me occupied most of the time.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a very busy space to be operating in, and you're going to multiple things, especially when you're covering so many topics. And our team at SBN has been delighted to work with you as our PR partner, and honoured to have a dedicated SBN page on your website where we can share this show that we're recording and also connect globally with Scots, sharing news, opinion, and sharing ideas and insights, because our Scottish diaspora find a lot of value in those pieces. So we definitely direct them over to the Daily Business website. So thanks for sharing that material. So you've kind of touched on the different stories and news that you cover. What do you see as the role of digital media today, and what are the benefits of engaging with you?
Well, I guess, it's almost a case of going with the flow to some extent. I mean, I was a bit of a naysayer towards digital news back in the day.
That's off. Terry, can you still hear me?
Everything digital. All aspects of our life are digital.
Terry, it kind of paused there, so I'm going to have to get you to start the question again. So do you just want to start with your answer again? It just it went off. So do you just want to continue, and we'll cut it off? So you started by saying you were a bit of a naysayer. So if you just want to keep going from there.
Okay. Yeah, and so as I say, I was a little bit skeptical about the whole digital thing back a few years ago now. Not alone in that, because a number of people in the industry thought it might just become part of, but not a huge challenge to the mainstream media. But we've seen digital dominate all aspects of our life now, and news is no different. So the thing about digital news is, without stating the obvious, it's immediacy, it's interactivity, and the ability of people to engage much more. In print, I suppose you're kind of limited to more or less the letters pages and the time it takes to process that, that sort of correspondence. So it's a very limited amount of engagement.
Yeah, so there's loads of benefits of like interacting with stuff yourself. I see your your daily newsletter that goes out that we all follow as a team as well, and we kind of share that with our members to kind of get the latest insights. So that kind of, it's there. And what are the times that you send it out? Is it 8? And what are the times that you send out the news?
Well, the news is done going all around the clock. It's a 24/7 thing. We also send out an email bulletin every morning around about 8ish, 8:30, which is just to update people on what are the latest things they need to be looking at. Because if you look at the whole website, you're going to be, scores of stories. But if you want to just
be there for a while.
What has happened that morning, the idea is with the bulletin that goes out to subscribers, which is free, will tell them exactly what's happened, because most of the business news tends to happen first thing in the morning from about 7 o'clock. And over that couple of hours, you'll find out what the latest news is. This gives us an edge over newspapers, which of course are giving you yesterday's news. And really, the days when people wait 24 hours to find out how the shares are performing or what companies have made announcements are kind of, being consigned to the history books, because people are not prepared to wait that long. Why would they? They can get instant information now, which wasn't available not so many years ago. So we can give them access to that up-to-the-minute news. And I have something called Daily Business Live, which is a sort of rolling post. So if you click onto it, you'll find out if something's happened in the last few minutes, and then click on again in half an hour, you'll find out what's happened then. It just keeps people up to date with any new announcements. And this is one of the big differentiators for digital news, is that immediacy and the ability to adapt and change and update. And of course, you write a story now, today, if I wrote a story at 11 o'clock in the morning, by 12 o'clock, someone will have perhaps reacted to it, or the story may have changed, gone in a different direction. You can update it again. And in newspapers, of course, you could do that through editions, but that was a very tight and structured situation where some papers don't even do that anymore. They just have one edition per day. Be really, up to the minute stuff. But they're not doing that anymore. It's very rare to see a paper do that.
And if you could give one tip to someone that was preparing an article, what do you look for in an article that you would be publishing?
Well, I think I have to look at it from the point of view of your network. It's not really about. Well, let's take as an example the global tax agreement that was reached just a couple of weeks ago. Someone may have a view about that and how it might work, what are the benefits, disadvantages, blah, blah, blah. It may be that somebody wants to, the one thing that I talked about with Russell was to help the flow of trade and contacts, that's that interconnectivity. So that if keeping people informed around the world about what is going on that may be of interest to other people in the network. So it may be opportunities for companies in Scotland to find a market in another country, or to develop a contact with somebody in another country. So the columns can be about that sort of thing. It could be about alerting other people in the network to opportunities that have arisen that they might not otherwise know about. So that I think is quite an important part of it.
Yeah, and our ambassadors that we've been appointing globally are so interested in being part of the collateral that you're sharing, and they want to share like those key market opportunities that you kind of highlighted there, what it's like on the ground. And like you say, to say that there's a really good fintech scene in Sao Paulo in Brazil, but like for our Scottish readers to understand that there's an opportunity there. So they're working on articles at the moment
absolutely.
to share.
And I think that the important thing is that if you're in that industry, you don't just want to know that there is an opportunity in Brazil or whatever. You want to know how to go about it.
Yeah.
So you want somebody in the network to say, here's a quick guide to what you should do. Here's who you should contact. These are the organizations you need to know about. These are their internet links and email, or even perhaps email addresses, whatever. All that information. This is they may go down to the detail about these are the things you need to avoid. This is the sort of tax regime. These are the duties you might have to pay. All that kind of detail. somebody who's trying to flog stuff to this country might think, wow, great, that's fantastic. I can now, I've got something to work on, instead of them having to sort of research it themselves. If we've got somebody in the network who's on the ground and knows all about it, then let everyone know.
Yeah, and it de-risks that market entry for them, like you've just said. So how else can our audience engage with your content, and how can they get access to your expertise? Because you've mentioned the different elements of the daily business as well.
Well, apart from the columns which we've just talked about, where people can exchange information and advice, opinions, there's also another side to it, which is a more commercially oriented side, if you like, where if somebody specifically wants to promote or advertise their service, if they want to say, yes, we make software for the construction sector and it's the best product going and it's the market leader, blah, 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 and we can do this, that, and the other for you, then we can carry that information as well. But there is going to be a fee attached, because if it's promoting a specific product or service, then it falls into sort of paid editorial category. We do carry quite a lot of this material actually, and it's proven to be quite good good value. I've just had a very nice message from someone about that actually, and because it is advertising, and it's a form of explaining to your reader what you do, and again, we can get it to a global or a specific market, and I would encourage people to look at that.
Oh, great. Well, we'll definitely be putting people in touch with you if that's what they want, if they're looking for a platform to advertise a particular product or service to a particular market, because we know that you're so well positioned for that. And if you're looking to read the material and subscribe to the newsletter that we mentioned, we'll put the details below, and you can connect with Terry if there's any other ways that you want to explore engaging with daily business. So Terry, thank you for joining us on your birthday, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much to Terry for joining us. We're now going to go to our next guest, Graeme Kerr, who I interviewed earlier this week. Well, I'm delighted to welcome our next guest, Graeme Kerr. Graeme, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
So you've got some exciting news for us. Scots of the World has officially launched this month. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. It's been a while in the making. So yeah, it was kind of first conceived maybe about 9 months ago. So it's taken a while, but yeah, we're there.
Yeah, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I imagine. Yes. So I was wondering if you could just start by telling us a bit about the platform.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea behind the platform is to showcase high quality Scottish made products to a global audience. So it was partly born out of COVID a little bit, because a lot of these brands are sort of heavily reliant on retail and tourism. So we kind of wanted to kind of try to help support that industry, and with my background in online and my wife's background in branding, we kind of thought, well, we can give them a skill set that perhaps they don't have to sell online, and especially to sell internationally. So the idea is we provide a platform, we provide the marketing and the sales, the brands bring their fantastic products, and we kind of showcase the brands and their kind of quality to the world. So that's the kind of concept. That's the concept behind it.
Yeah, because I remember we've spoken about this previously. I think we maybe had you on a show a few months ago, and it was almost the idea that there's so many of these stores where tourism was where they sold their stuff. Then all of a sudden, no tourism for a year. So Scottish products really is one of the main allures of the site. And I know you spent a lot of time speaking with different brands and making sure you find the right ones. So I was wondering if you could tell us about some of those unique brands and products that you've pulled together for the site.
Yeah. So we've got quite a good cross-section of brands. So we've now got 43, and it sort of spans about 1,100 products so far. So it's across a variety of areas. So we've got clothing, jewellery, art, homeware, some food and drink, although we're just about to start sort of listing alcoholic products, and we've got to go ahead for that. So So we've got a good representation across different industries, and also kind of different companies of different sizes. So we've got everything from kind of reasonably established companies who sell online to individuals who hand make products in the Outer Hebrides who they don't really transact online at all. So yeah, we've got a very good sort of cross section, and what we've tried to do is really kind of showcase these kind of really high quality Scottish products, because I think there's plenty of opportunity to kind of buy the kind of almost like the sort of touristy products that are not necessarily made in Scotland. Whereas, I don't think there's really an opportunity, to go to one place where you can find a lot of these sort of artisan type products.
Exactly. I mean, I live in Edinburgh, and walking down Princess Street, you can buy a jumper that says, "I've been to Edinburgh Castle." And you think to yourself, well, that would be nice to go back and say, look at my Scottish jumper, not knowing that it's ever been made in Scotland. Just on that note as well, because you'd mentioned sort of handmade products in the Outer Hebrides. Are you spread all products from all different sections of Scotland? I know that many people who visit in the tourists or just go to tourist towns or Edinburgh and Glasgow. So
yeah, so yeah, we've got a good spread across Scotland. From Dumfries, the borders, through the Central Belt into the Highlands. We've got some in Mull and Iona, the Outer Hebrides, Orkney and Shetland. So yeah, quite a good spread. So and that's kind of one of the features of the website, is you can search by the location of the brand as well. So if somebody does have heritage in a particular area, then they can shop by brands within that area as well.
yeah, that's really interesting, because that actually leads on nicely to my next question, is the fact that it's not sort of like an online shop. It's more of like a sort of place for Scottish heritage. If you have some sort of place for Scottish heritage, you come together. And I know it's not just products you've also got things to do with some sort of concierge services and also ancestry. I was wondering if you could touch on them a little bit.
Yeah, so the business was really born out of a kind of online community. We've managed to build a social audience around the world of about 21,000, I think, so far, within sort of 8 months. So we kind of wanted to continue that community kind of aspect to the business, and part of that is not just offering them products, but offering them kind of experiences as well. So we plan to do some sort of joint venture events, around Scottish culture and Scottish heritage, as well as kind of showcase the brands, meet the maker events and things. But one of the things we wanted to do was, we were getting asked a lot, can you help us trace our heritage? So when somebody asks you if you can do something, you find a way of doing it. So yeah, we've got a couple of options. So we've created an affiliation with Ancestry.com. So if people want to do their own DNA tests, they want to do their own kind of research, they can do that. But we've also created relationships with sort of specialist heritage advisors who can do sort of bespoke research for people as well. And part of that led on to this sort of concierge service as well, because I think a lot of it was, we came across these brands, and a lot of them were making fantastic products that could be customized, or a lot of them were made to order. There aren't really products on the site that are kind of throwaway products. They're kind of genuinely good quality, and people would keep them. So we thought, that there's an opportunity if somebody came along and said, I'm really looking for these products, or I'd like to get a tartan made, or I want to have, I've got a Scottish wedding, can you help us to source all the elements we need for that, that's specifically around our family, our culture, our heritage. So yeah, so that's where the concierge service really fits in. So
brilliant. I love the idea of someone coming to sort of find out what clan they're from and realising that their family didn't come from the Highlands, and maybe they came from, so my family's all from Selkirk, so we don't really have a clan. So it's interesting to think, sort of tracing heritage back, you then think, I wonder what gets made down there, and then you look at things like all the different sorts of tweed mills, and you've got even like, there's all different sorts of things there. So and I suppose with the concierge service, I was going to ask you, it could almost be for a sort of, would it work for small gifts, or would it have to be big projects like a wedding?
No. I mean, it can really be for anything. We've had a couple of people contact just to say I'm looking for this specific thing. You do have something similar on the website, but it's not exactly what I need. So we're kind of help to source that. And quite often it could be something that the brands we've got involved can make. They just haven't made them yet. And yeah, so it's everything from an individual gift up to somebody organising a wedding or a corporate event, or it could be anything really. So
fantastic. So one of the reasons we've got you on today is that we want to help spread the word. But anybody watching, how can they help spread the word? Does it go on the website, use it, share it with their friends, family, everyone internationally and here at home?
Yeah. So now we're live. We're trying to utilise this social audience we've got, but just the tip of the iceberg, really. I mean, I think the more we can spread the word and people share the website, join us on social media, share the content, then we can sort of try and sort of enhance the reach for all these brands and try and give them a much bigger platform. We're also working on a few sort of partnerships in different parts of the world as well. So we're quite keen to speak to any sort of Scottish associations or societies as well. Because one of the powers of the platform that we've built is we can provide storefronts for a lot of these associations. So sort of co-branded with Scots of the world. So they can showcase the products, the brands, and we provide a kind of revenue stream for them as well. So there's sort of potential partnership options as well.
Fantastic. Well, there's everyone from sort of like even university alumni to St Andrews societies all across North America as well. So I'm sure there'll be lots of people interested in speaking to you, Graeme. But for now, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. For those of you who want to check it out, you can find a link to the site in the description of this, or you can just visit www.scotsoftheworld.com. But for now, Graeme, thank you very much for joining us.
Yep, that's great. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you to our guests today, Terry and Graeme, for joining us.
Yep, and you won't be seeing us next week. You'll be back in 2 weeks, and our podcast is taking a break as our host goes on a well-deserved holiday. But you can go on the SBN podcast website to see some of the almost 70 episodes we've got pre-recorded. Or, as I mentioned earlier, you can hear from Fraser himself as he sat down with Andrew Morrison for a LinkedIn Live interview this morning. But other than that, thank you very much for joining us.